A few years ago, I was in Jamaica for two speaking engagements. One was a half-day training session on storytelling for senior leaders at a national credit union. And when I showed up, I could practically see the skepticism bubbles above their heads. You see, like many cultures, Jamaica has a deeply rooted history of oral storytelling. They pride themselves in being great natural storytellers. And here I am, an outsider, coming in to teach them storytelling. But fortunately, the day before the training, my driver took me to a local restaurant for an authentic Jamaican lunch. Plain and unpretentious. On the wall were photos of famous people who had eaten there. Andrew pointed out a few politicians. I recognized Shaggy. And he stopped at the photo on the wall of Usain Bolt. "You know the story of Usain Bolt?" he asked me. Of course, I knew the sprinter known as the fastest man in the world. But did I know the story? I shook my head. No. Well, Andrew explained, he wasn't so fast, not until he started working with his coach, Glenn Wills. His arms were flailing and he was running very inefficiently, and it was his coach who trained him to run in a more disciplined and focused way. That was all I needed to hear. That night I did a little research and learned that his coach taught Usain to change his gait, lean forward slightly, and focus his energy in a straight line. It took 2 years for Usain to unlearn his bad habits so that he could leverage his natural ability. And the next day I started the session with that story. 2.5 minutes, all it took. I didn't have to go into much detail because, well, everyone already knew the story. But neither did I have to use a big, thick magic marker to connect the dots between Usain's story and what we were going to do in our session. Because everyone in the room had heard too many stories that ramble, stories that took too long to get to the point, and stories that may entertain, but when they were finished, you wondered if there was any point at all. All I did after that was ask them to consider that perhaps there might be a more strategic and more focused way of storytelling. And if they just keep an open mind and try some of the techniques I was going to show them, then perhaps they could combine the techniques with their natural storytelling ability to become better presenters, better salespeople, better managers, and better all-around leaders. They paid attention. And when we wrapped up, one of the first questions I got was, "Michel, how can we build on this to keep on improving?" Mission accomplished. And that's the power of a good story. Not just any story. A story that's been purposefully crafted to change hearts, change minds, and sometimes change the world.